All right, knowledge junkies, are you ready to dive in? Today we're tackling a big one, Lean Six Sigma. And we're slicing and dicing this MSI Black Belt training so you don't have to.
Consider this your crash course in sounding like a total pro, without the all-nighter cramming.
Love it. Efficiency is music to my ears. So, Lean Six Sigma, it's everywhere in the business world these days. What's the deal, in a nutshell?
Think of it as building a machine, but like a really, really well-oiled one. Lean is about stripping away anything unnecessary, getting rid of the clutter. And Six Sigma, that's about making sure everything runs smoothly every time, no hiccups.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but waste can mean a lot of things. What are we actually talking about here?
Imagine a restaurant kitchen, right? But instead of working together, everyone's bumping into each other, orders get lost, it's chaos. That's wasted motion, just one of the 7 wastes we're going to unpack.
So not just like literal garbage.
Nope, we're talking time, resources, even potential just slipping through the cracks. It's costing businesses big time.
Okay, now I'm a little nervous thinking about all the waste I haven't noticed before. Give me another example.
Picture a warehouse, but it's packed to the brim with stuff nobody's buying. That's inventory waste. Money just sitting there not doing anything, or even worse, waiting for someone to sign off on something, but it feels like it's just gone.
I know that feeling all too well. Okay, so waste is the enemy, Lean Six Sigma is our weapon of choice, but how do we actually use it?
That's where DMAIC sweeps in 5 steps, and it's basically magic for fixing any process.
DMAIC, DMAIC. It rings a bell, but humor me. Explain it like I'm 5.
Okay, you're building a treehouse, right? But it keeps falling apart. DMAC is your toolbox. First, you figure out why it's falling apart. Is it the wood, the design? Did you use enough nails? You got to know the problem.
Makes sense, otherwise you're just rebuilding the same flimsy thing over and over again.
Exactly. Then you measure, like, how much weight can those branches actually hold? How strong is the wind up there? Got to get specific.
It's like detective work, but for efficiency. I'm into it. What's next?
Now, you analyze all that info.
Yeah.
Was the wood cheap? Nails too short? Time to connect the dots.
Because slapping on a Band-Aid doesn't fix the fact that the whole structure is unstable.
Exactly. Once you've cracked the case, you improve. You get stronger wood, better nails, maybe even hire an actual builder.
So we're not cutting corners, we're going for the long game.
You got it. But even the best treehouse needs maintenance, which brings us to control. Got to keep things running smoothly, maybe check for termites, add a fresh coat of paint every now and then.
So DMAIC is detective work, engineering, and a bit of home improvement all in one. I like it.
It's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
But like any good toolbox, it helps to have some extra gadgets, right?
Mhm.
That's where all those juicy details from this MSI training come in.
Now you're speaking my language. Hit me with one of those advanced tools, one that'll make everyone think I'm a Lean Six Sigma genius.
All right, how about rolled throughput yield? Or RTY for short. Remember our treehouse. RTY is like saying, okay, we built the whole thing, but did every step go perfectly?
So it's not just about the final result, but how efficiently we got there.
Bingo. Maybe you nailed in every board perfectly, but if you measured the walls wrong at the beginning, well, now it's a wonky treehouse. RTY helps find those hidden problems that are messing up the whole system.
RTY, already making notes.
Yeah.
But this feels like just the tip of the iceberg, right? There's more to this whole Lean Six Sigma thing.
Oh, you have no idea. And this black belt training, it dives headfirst into all of it. Statistical tools that make your brain melt, how to get everyone on board with the changes. It's intense.
Speaking of changes, this isn't just about crunching numbers, right? It's about getting real people to actually do things differently.
You'd be surprised how often that gets overlooked. It's like you can have the blueprints for the most amazing treehouse ever, but if nobody knows how to use a hammer.
You're going to have a tough time actually building it. So how do you get people excited about Lean Six Sigma? How do you make it stick?
Communication is key. You have to explain why these changes matter, not just to the big bosses, but to the people on the ground, doing the work every day.
Nobody wants to feel like they're just a cog in the machine.
Exactly. And you can't just talk at them. You have to listen too. The people doing the work, they often have the best ideas about how to make things better.
It's like a gold mine of knowledge just waiting to be tapped into.
Precisely. When people feel heard, when their ideas are valued, that's when change actually happens.
And that's when things get really interesting, right?
Absolutely. This MSI training, it really emphasizes building that kind of environment. One where it's okay to make mistakes, because that's how we learn.
It's about the journey, not just the destination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And remember those crazy statistical tools I mentioned? They're crucial for figuring out what works and what doesn't along the way.
Right, because it's not enough to just make changes. You have to measure whether they're actually making a difference.
You got it. Those tools, they give you the evidence, so you can make smart decisions and track your progress.
This MSI training, it goes even further, talking about using all the latest tech for Lean Six Sigma. We're talking AI, big data, the whole shebang. It's like the future of efficiency is already here.
Absolutely. Think of it like this. Lean Six Sigma gives you the map, but technology, that's your high-speed car.
So instead of walking toward efficiency, we're speeding there in a Ferrari.
You got it.
Huh?
Imagine this. Sensors on your cookie sheets telling you exactly when they're done. No more burnt batches.
Now that's what I call smart baking. Okay, but let's bring this back to the real world. What are some other ways this tech is being used?
One of the coolest is predictive maintenance. Sensors on machines that tell you when they're about to break down so you can fix them before they cause a huge mess.
Talk about avoiding a major headache.
Right, and it goes way beyond that. Companies are using big data to understand what customers want, to prevent fraud, even to come up with brand new products.
Okay, last question before we move on. Let's say someone's aced this MSI training. They've got the tools, they're using the tech. What's next? How do they keep that momentum going?
That's where it becomes less about the tools and more about the culture. You have to build an environment where everyone's always looking for ways to improve, from the CEO all the way to the newest hire.
So it's not just a project with a finish line, it's an ongoing way of life.
Exactly. And that's when Lean Six Sigma goes from being a useful tool to a complete game changer. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we've still got a lot more to cover.
I'm ready for it. Let's dig into those metrics. DPMO, yield, COPQ. Give me the numbers.
You got it. Metrics are the lifeblood of Lean Six Sigma. They tell you how you're doing, where you can improve, and prove that all your hard work is paying off. And these three, they're the VIPs. Every black belt needs to know them like the back of their hand.
Okay, let's break them down. First up, DPMO. Defects per million opportunities. It sounds intense.
It's all about understanding how often things go wrong. Think of making paper airplanes. DPMO would track how many of those planes end up with, like, a wonky wing or a crumpled nose.
So lower DPMO, more aerodynamic paper airplanes. In the business world, that translates to
Higher quality, happier customers, which means a healthier bottom line.
music to any business owner's ears. Okay, next up, yield. What does that tell us?
Yield's all about efficiency. Let's say you're baking cookies. Yield measures how many come out perfectly golden brown and delicious versus how many are, a little too crispy.
So higher yield, more delicious cookies, or in the business world.
More efficient processes, less waste, and of course those happy customers we talked about.
All right, last but not least, we've got COPQ, cost of poor quality. This one sounds a little ominous.
It can be. Remember those burnt cookies and wonky paper airplanes?
Yeah.
COPQ puts a dollar amount on those mistakes. It shows you the real cost of things not going according to plan.
A real eye-opener then.
You got it. Nothing motivates change like seeing how much those mistakes are actually costing you.
DPMO, yield, COPQ, three powerful ways to track the impact of Lean Six Sigma. But this training doesn't just stop there, does it? It also dives into some seriously advanced statistical tools.
Oh yeah, we're talking ANOVA, chi-squared tests, t-tests. These tools, they take your analysis to a whole new level, help you find patterns in the data and make sure your improvements aren't just a fluke.
Okay, I'm getting a headache just thinking about it, but in a good way. Can you give us a taste of what these tools can do?
Imagine you're testing a new recipe for those cookies we talked about. ANOVA could tell you if adding an extra egg really makes a difference in how they turn out.
Interesting. So it's about taking the guesswork out of it, making sure your decisions are backed by solid evidence.
Exactly. And that's what makes those black belts so valuable. They don't just identify problems, they solve them with a level of precision that's seriously impressive.
This MSI black belt training goes even further, talking about how to use all the latest technology with Lean Six Sigma, right? We're talking Industry 4.0, big data, IoT, like the future of efficiency is already here.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Think of it like this. Lean Six Sigma gives you the roadmap, but technology gives you a supercharged car to navigate it.
So instead of walking toward efficiency, we're now speeding towards it in a Tesla.
You got it. Imagine sensors on those cookie sheets, constantly monitoring the temperature and baking time,
Yeah.
and all that data. It's sent to an AI that adjusts the oven in real time, so you never burn a batch again.
Now, that is impressive. Give me some more examples of how this tech is being used in the real world.
One that's already making waves is predictive maintenance. By using sensors and data analysis, companies can predict when a machine is likely to break down and schedule maintenance proactively.
So it's about preventing those costly downtime events before they even happen.
Exactly. And it goes way beyond just machines. Companies are using big data to understand their customers better, personalize their experiences, and even prevent fraud.
Okay, last question before we wrap up this part of the deep dive. Let's say someone has completed this MSI Black Belt training. They're fluent in those advanced statistical tools. They're even leveraging cutting edge technology. What's next? How do they keep that momentum going?
That's where building a sustainable culture of continuous improvement comes in. It's about making Lean Six Sigma more than just a set of tools, but a core value that permeates every level of the organization.
So it's about creating a workplace where everyone, from the CEO to the frontline workers, feels empowered to identify problems, suggest solutions, and contribute to making things better.
Absolutely. It's about fostering a culture of curiosity, innovation, and collaboration where everyone is united in the pursuit of excellence.
I love that. It's about creating a workplace where people feel valued, engaged, and excited to come to work every day.
Exactly. And that's when the real magic happens. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's save that conversation for the next part of our deep dive.
You're killing me with the cliffhangers. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick pause here to gather our thoughts and refill our coffee cups. But don't go anywhere. In the next part of this deep dive, we'll be exploring the human side of Lean Six Sigma, how to build that culture of continuous improvement, overcome resistance to change, and create a workplace where everyone feels empowered to make a difference. Welcome back, everyone. Now, before the break, we were knee-deep in those juicy Lean Six Sigma metrics, DPMO, yield, CoPQ. But let's be real for a second. Even if you've got all the right tools and techniques, change can be a tough pill to swallow.
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to draw up a perfect process on paper,
Yeah.
but getting everyone on board actually making it work in the real world,
Mm.
that's where things get tricky.
Because we're not dealing with robots here. We're talking about people with their own habits, their own opinions, and let's be honest, sometimes a healthy dose of resistance to anything new.
And that's completely natural. Think about it. We humans, we love routine. We get comfortable even if things aren't great. So when someone comes along saying, hey, let's do this whole thing differently, it's only natural to push back a little.
So how do you get past that? How do you make Lean Six Sigma something people embrace, not just something they put up with?
It's about building a culture where continuous improvement isn't just a rule. It's a team effort, like baking those cookies we talked about. If everyone has a hand in the process, they're much more likely to enjoy the final product.
I like where you're going with this. So it's not about forcing change. It's about bringing people along, making sure they feel heard and respected.
Exactly. And that starts with communication.
Yeah.
You have to explain the why, what's in it for them, not just for the company as a whole, but for each individual team member.
Because nobody wants to feel like a replaceable part. They want to know that their work actually matters.
Precisely. And don't just talk, listen to their concerns, their ideas. Remember those frontline workers, the ones dealing with these processes day in and day out. They often have the best ideas about what's broken and how to fix it.
Makes you wonder how many great ideas get ignored.
More than we realize, I'm sure.
And when people feel heard, when their ideas are taken seriously, that's when they buy in. That's when change actually sticks.
It's about creating a safe space to speak your mind, to share ideas, and yeah, even to mess up sometimes.
Exactly. This MSI training really hammers that home, creating a culture where it's okay to make mistakes because that's how we learn and get better. So it's about embracing the learning process every step of the way.
Precisely. And remember those statistical tools we talked about?
Mm.
They're a huge part of that.
Right, because making changes isn't enough. You need a way to track them to see if they're actually working and to adjust as you go.
Exactly. Those tools give you the data you need to make informed decisions to track your progress, to prove that your efforts are paying off.
This MSI training really dives deep into all of that. And they even talk about how to use cutting-edge technology to supercharge Lean Six Sigma. We're talking AI, big data, IoT. Like, the future of efficiency is already here.
Absolutely. Think of it like this technology is your Lean Six Sigma co-pilot, helping you navigate all those complex systems, automating tasks, and achieving a whole new level of performance.
So instead of just measuring those burnt cookies, we have sensors telling us before they even go in the oven.
Precisely. Imagine sensors on the factory floor monitoring equipment in real time, sending that data to an AI that predicts potential problems before they even happen.
Talk about preventative maintenance on a whole new level.
Right. And it goes beyond just machines. Companies are using big data to understand their customers, better personalize their experiences, and even prevent fraud.
The possibilities seem pretty much endless.
They really are. And that's what makes this field so exciting. It's always evolving, always pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Okay, so let's say someone completes this MSI Black Belt training. They've mastered DMAIC. They're fluent in those advanced statistical tools. They're even leveraging all this cutting-edge technology. What's next? How do they hold on to that momentum, that passion for continuous improvement?
That's where building a culture of continuous improvement becomes essential. It's about making Lean Six Sigma more than just a set of tools or a project with a finish line. It's about embedding it into the very DNA of the organization, making it everyone's responsibility.
So it's about creating an environment where everyone from the top down feels empowered to spot problems, suggest solutions, and make things better.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a spirit of curiosity, collaboration, and a relentless drive for excellence. And it's about celebrating the wins along the way, big or small.
Because even small victories can add up over time.
Absolutely. Celebrating those small wins is crucial. It boosts morale, keeps the momentum going, and reinforces those positive changes. And it doesn't need to be anything fancy or expensive.
So what are some practical ways organizations can celebrate without breaking the bank?
Sometimes the simplest gestures are the most effective. Publicly acknowledge a team's accomplishment during a meeting, send out a company-wide email highlighting a successful improvement, or even just a handwritten thank you note from a manager can make all the difference.
It's about making people feel seen, appreciated, and valued for their contributions.
Exactly. And when people feel valued, they're more engaged, more motivated, more dedicated to the company's success.
This is all incredibly insightful. But before we get too carried away celebrating our Lean Six Sigma triumphs, we need to address another crucial aspect: how to actually get started on this transformative journey. So for those feeling inspired, maybe wanting to try out this Lean Six Sigma thing, where do they even start?
Well, it's like I always say, you don't start learning to cook with a 5-tier wedding cake, right? You start with something simple. Maybe those cookies we keep talking about.
I see what you did there. So in the world of Lean Six Sigma, that simple recipe is...
The MSI White Belt certification. It's the perfect entry point. Gives you a solid foundation in the basics without getting too overwhelming.
So it's like mastering the basic cookie dough before moving on to soufflés and croissants.
Exactly. And just like with baking, you can always level up later, try new recipes, maybe even go for that Master Chef certification, or in our case, the Black Belt.
I love that analogy because it shows how Lean Six Sigma isn't just for big companies or experts. Anyone can use it to make their work, even their personal lives, more efficient, more fulfilling.
Absolutely. Think about it. We all have those little annoyances, those daily frustrations that steal our time and energy. A messy desk, a chaotic morning routine, you name it.
Don't even get me started on my inbox.
Yeah, right? Those are all perfect opportunities to use Lean Six Sigma. Identify the wasted time, the unnecessary steps, the things that are making life harder than they need to be.
So it's not about impressing your boss or anything. It's about making your own life better.
Precisely. And that's what I love about Lean Six Sigma. It's not some complicated theory. It's a set of tools anyone can use to make a real difference.
That's a powerful message.
Thank
And
you.
this MSI training, whether you go for the white belt, the black belt, or just take away some key ideas from our deep dive today, it gives you the tools, the knowledge to be more efficient, more effective, and ultimately more fulfilled.
Well said. It's about taking control of your work, your environment, even your thoughts, creating a more streamlined, more productive, and yes, more joyful existence.
I love that. And on that inspiring note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into the world of Lean Six Sigma. We've explored it all, from DMAIC to RTY change management, to the importance of celebrating those small wins.
We've seen how Lean Six Sigma helps you cut waste, make your processes leaner, and unlock a whole new level of efficiency, both in your professional and personal life.
We also got into the human side of it, how to actually make change happen. Building a culture where everyone feels empowered to contribute and continuous improvement is just the norm.
And let's not forget the impact of technology. It's transforming the way we approach Lean Six Sigma, giving us incredible insights and tools to achieve even greater things.
But at the end of the day, Lean Six Sigma isn't about the certifications or the fancy tools. It's a journey, a commitment to always looking for better ways of doing things.
So as you go about your day, take a look around. At work, at home, even at your own habits, where are the bottlenecks, the inefficiencies? What's making life harder than it needs to be?
Maybe it's time to unleash your inner efficiency expert and start optimizing.
Remember, continuous improvement is a journey, not a destination. Embrace the challenge, never stop learning, and always strive for excellence.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep on learning.